Is there going to be an election in November? I know right now a lot of the country is on lockdown. It looks like how could that possibly happen? But plans are being put into place to provide a situation where people might feel comfortable in voting and not getting in massive lines, big crowds, and potentially exposing themselves to the coronavirus, assuming, and we probably should, that that is still going to be an issue in early November. And so right now there is a proposal that was unveiled by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Monday that called for billions in grant funding for states for election administration issues and a national requirement of 15 days of early voting, no excuse absentee voting, and that registered voters receive ballots in the mail in an emergency. The Brennan Center has estimated that a robust election protection plan related to the coronavirus could cost as much as $2 billion to cover ballot printing and procurement, postage, security, staffing, poll workers, and voter education campaigns. And so, look, I think that you could probably go further than that. I want to make sure that literally everyone is able to vote and has more than enough time to do so. But considering, I mean, the debacle we went through with the last round of primaries where, you know, Tom Perez and the DNC and various governors were saying, just get in line right before we go into lockdown. We need to be ready. The election needs to go forward, but it needs to go forward in a way that doesn't expose anyone unnecessarily to these germs.
Yeah, sadly, I mean, something is going to have to be done, but I fear that no matter what is done, even some of these put in place to make voting easier or even allow these places to stay open, there's just generally going to be a bit of a fear from people to want to go out and do something like this. And it's, sadly, I think it might benefit Trump, to keep a guy in office. When numbers are low, we know how that works in public. And numbers are it's just naturally going to be lower. Again, even if things get shored up to a degree where some semblance of regular life by November, we've now had probably all spring and parts of summer completely derailed from people's decision processes. They just kind of already work. And money will just be like, yeah, I'm not really sure what happens. Those numbers might be a little too high.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Look, I think the most important thing is first of all, get mail voting so that people don't have to leave their home.
Mhm.
That will reassure a lot of people. Give them a period of 2 to 4 weeks to make sure that they have time for it and that can all be processed and everything. That's really important. And then continue that system going forward. Like if anything positive that can come out of this would help to defer some of the terror and horror that we've been dealing with. So if coming out of this, everyone has an actual right, which they should have always had under democracy, to be able to vote, have their vote be counted, have their vote matter, then that would be a good thing. We can set up that system. And the Brennan Center is saying that it might cost $2 billion. Man, in their bill, they're handing $1 trillion close to it to corporations and to Wall Street. Like if you can do that, then you can definitely spend a couple of $1 billion to make sure that we have an election. Like the Olympics just got postponed. That's never happened in peacetime before.
Right.
An election, so far as I know, in our lifetime certainly has never been postponed in any way. It doesn't have to be if we start to prepare for it now and if we make sure that all of the money is available. We can have the election and we can make sure that no one suffers from it.
We hear these numbers, man, and it goes back to our Stockholm syndrome. We hear these numbers and we begin to think, oh, that's too much for us. It's just without not specifically that sentence, but the sentiment is, wow, $2 billion just for elections. I don't know if we really need that because we need it for other things like that. This isn't that important. Hey, us actually having a voice in our country isn't that important. $2 billion. We hear those numbers and we think it's huge. The numbers that we're donating, handing out to the folks that have helped destroy many aspects of our lives, we don't blink. But when it comes to actually having to enhance our lives, that's why it goes back to everything we've had when it comes to Medicare for all and student loan forgiveness. We're like, do we really deserve it? What did we do for this? But we assume that people who've done absolutely far fewer things for this, they deserve it, but we don't.
Yeah.
This isn't a problem. I'm telling you, man, you see that number, and I guarantee you, regular people will really cringe a little bit, like, man, $2 billion just for elections? No, more.
Yeah. If it needs it. And
Yeah.
and also I have been following the they got a little bit closer supposedly to one of the bills getting through the Senate yesterday. That's going to continue today. Chuck Schumer says they're on the 2-yard line. Yesterday they were on the 5, which I've been told by Emma is close to scoring. I'm joking. Anyway, but one thing that's supposedly being worked on is another round of changes to unemployment. For a period of 4 months, they're considering up to $600 additional per week. Again, all of this is based off of the income that you were making beforehand, and it hasn't been passed yet, so don't go like celebrating at all that there was progress actually. But that is one of the things that's being worked on, at least.
We'll see. I mean, there's lots of back and forth, and we hear 2 yard line talk from Schumer, and I don't know. It depends on what's thrown in there next, because now the pressure, as we've seen from other cases, Elizabeth Warren was specifically put on, was, I guess, fingers were pointed at her. I think she was on Bloomberg. Yeah, she was on Bloomberg TV. Had a battle with a host that was saying, "What are you going to do now that you Democrats have decided to derail this whole thing?" And she had to tell them, "Hey, listen, this isn't a Democratic thing. This is when we're trying to get things for the American people done right." So now that pressure is being applied to Democrats, they know what Democrats, they fold. And they'll be like, whatever's in it now, it's okay. It's fine. Steve Mnuchin can have his slush fund, which I'm glad they fought against. But let's see what else is in it now, too, because there's no way that this set of Republicans is going to stop at the first step.